Okay, this is APBC Calculus, and we're doing the virtual syllabus for school year 2021. I am your instructor, Shan Hogan. So, the course is APBC Calculus, which is essentially equivalent to a second semester course in college calculus. The textbook we're going to use is Larson Calculus 8th edition. I have it as a PDF available on your Google Classroom. We won't rely on this book heavily. None of your assignments are going to come from this textbook. It's really just an extra resource. That said, if you feel the need to have a physical copy, we can work that out. But really, I'm intentionally not using that as a resource for assignments. It's just an extra way for you to look stuff up. And I figure since you have the interwebs, you probably don't need it that much. Okay, so my email address is here. It's blocked out because we're doing this in a YouTube video. My website is here as well. Most of you in BC have had me before, so you've seen my website before. This is my website. Under current courses, you'll see APBC. Again, this year we're really changing it up a little bit because of the virtual learning stuff, and so because of that, you're going to find that most of the resources aren't actually on there. A lot of them are going to be on AP Classroom on the College Board website, which we'll talk about. My YouTube channel, which you're going to use to watch most of the videos that you're going to watch, right? So we'll talk about that in a minute too, is linked there. And then we're going to have a daily check-in form, which is blocked out here because I don't want everyone on the, all of the tons of people watching my YouTube channel. This was a joke, by the way, filling out my daily check-in form. Anyway, that'll be available in your actual syllabus. When you get a copy of this, these red lines won't be here. Now, when you go to do a Meet, and for right now we are starting with Meet, not Zoom. If that's not panning out, we might switch to Zoom, which is why you'll see me say Zoom/Meet in a lot of places because we might end up switching. So when you go to Meet, you're going to go to meet.google.com, right, which is this website here, and then you're going to go ahead and type in the nickname that I give you, which will be on the syllabus, but again is blocked out here. We're going to have two different kinds of meets. We're going to have class meets, so on A days and C days we're going to have class meetings, and then I'll also have an office hour meet that is open to all of my classes at the same time on A and B days in the afternoon from 2:19 to 3:04 p.m. So please note that class and office hours for these Zooms and Meets are for students only. I am more than happy to meet with parents and guardians, but you would want to schedule a separate time with me because these are student times that I'm meeting with them. All right, so here are our virtual class times. A days we meet from 11:42 in the morning to 12:56 in the afternoon, which is 74 minutes. We're going to walk through what that period looks like. A days are what we're going to call days of instruction, DOI, because that's when we're covering the new material. On Fridays, we will not be covering new material with our 25 minutes. So here's what an A day is going to look like. You're going to log into the Zoom or the Meet. Again, right now it's a Meet. And then we're going to walk through a couple slides, a quick lesson intro, not very much detail because, to be honest, I include most of the detail in the video of the lesson itself. And then you're going to complete a warm-up problem. So here's my sample class, right? So I made it today, even though today was not a school day. So sample class, here's the date. We're going to cover 5 topics. That sounds like a lot, but it's not really, and we'll talk about why in BC we can cover so many topics in a sec. And then you're going to do a warm-up. So you're logging in at 11:42, which means you have 18 minutes essentially to submit a warm-up that should not take you 18 minutes, right? So if you notice, I give you the warm-up for 10 minutes, and then that's synchronous. You're expected to be there for that time while I just walk you through stuff. After that, you're going to switch to asynchronous. That means that you're going to take the time, and it might be 35 minutes, or honestly, if you finished the warm-up and you finished listening to what I was telling you, you might have already checked out, at 11:50. You might be like, cool, I'm good, Hogan, I've got it, I know what we're doing, I'm going to dig into the videos. Or maybe you're just on still and I see you, but you're actually watching the videos already. So then you're going to go ahead and watch some lesson videos, right? Now, the reason we can cover so many topics in BC, and you'll see this when you see the name of the topics. In fact, I could actually go back for a sec and show you, I could show you the name of the topics right here. What you're going to see is that a lot of these topics are, well, all of these, in fact, are things that you've done before, right? And entire topics are things like just intro to calculus, what's changed at an instant, or what's the limit notation, right? Things that don't necessarily require a ton by themselves. So while APAB is probably going to do about 2 sections a day, you're probably looking at more like 3 to 4 on a typical day, or if it's a series of fairly easy topics, it might be as many as 5. So when we go to the video during that asynchronous time, you're going to watch the videos here, right? So now I admit that for BC, the time adds up. If you look at the videos for section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that adds up to a lot of time. What I'm going to point out is that you're probably not watching every second of these videos the same way that someone who's never seen this material before is. Also keep in mind that these times are if you choose to watch every second of it, at regular speed and don't choose to skip me just talking about stuff at the beginning. So, you know, again, just be mindful that that's kind of what we're looking at. So that's what's going to happen at the start of an A day, right? You're going to go ahead and watch the videos. Now, you'll notice I penciled in 35 minutes for it, but it's really 55 minutes to watch these videos because it's 35 minutes asynchronous, and then I'm there the whole time. Technically, you could just check in with me the whole time. It says email me homework questions just because I generally prefer email, but you could also just check in with me on the Zoom or the Meet. But you're not required to be there with me. I'm just kind of sitting in room 209. That's what I've been calling it, right? 209. See, 209, get it? So I'm just kind of chilling there, right? And then there's 20 minutes where I'm going to answer questions that you have, like homework questions from previous days, questions on the material that you just watched, etc. But that's synchronous / asynchronous, meaning if you don't need me, you don't have to be there. You might still be watching the videos. Keep in mind that when you're watching these videos, you want to be taking notes in a notebook, the same way you'd take if we were in class. When you look at the videos, what you're going to see is that there's going to be examples, right? So like if I click on a video here, and I'm going to pause it and just skip to a spot, right? You're going to see that there are going to be examples. Well, somewhere there's examples. I picked a bad one. Okay, there we go. So you're going to see me drawing tables and drawing all over them, right? You're going to see that there are going to be examples and practice problems, right? So when you look at some of these, and maybe I'll pick a better one this time, right? So if you look at some of these, here's an example 1, right? And then later, you'll see there's a P1, right? So there's going to be an example 1, there's going to be a P1, right? So there's practice problems, there's examples that I do. So you want to write stuff down in notebooks, right? You want to take notes the same way you would in a regular class. So that's what you're using this time for. Then at the last bit of the period, the last 9 minutes or so, you're going to check back in, and just like we had a warm-up problem, you're going to have a closer problem, right? So if I dig through this like 8 layers of stuff, so there's going to be a closer problem, and you're going to submit that on Google Classroom the same way. Again, it'll either be related to the videos that you just watched or something that we've done recently, and it's going to be a really quick question that you can probably answer really fast. It's not designed to be a super difficult thing, but it's designed to be something that gets you some points. So let's walk through, and then Fridays we do this thing called a comprehension check, which is synchronous for 25 minutes, and we'll talk about what that looks like in a sec. So here are the assignments you can look at going into Q1. A couple notes about this. First thing is that right now the School District of Philadelphia is virtual for Q1 only. That's until 11/17. So when we return to the school building, the format of assignments is likely going to change, and there's going to be an updated syllabus. For right now, we're operating under the assumption that we're virtual. When we get back to school in whatever form we do, things will change, so keep that in mind. So right now, here are assignments. You're going to join AP Classroom. Most of you have already done this. This is pretty important. You want to do it by this Friday because all of those homework assignments and all of that exam stuff is going to be on AP Classroom, and you need to have access. The summer project is due the following Friday on 9/11. Due to remote learning, we're not actually going to have the exam that we usually have as the second half of the summer project. I decided the last thing any of us need is to walk into a test in the first or second week of school on old material that wasn't necessary. It's not assessing new learning. It's just not worth it. It doesn't seem like a thing that's going to be good for any of our mental health, so we're not going to do it. So there's a daily check-in form. We talked about this. You get a point for doing it. So if we have 5 school days in a week, you do it all 5 days. One thing to note, though, is that on B days, this form will be used to measure your attendance because I don't see you on B days. I see you on A days, and I see you on C days. So on B days, when I don't see you, this form is your attendance. If you don't do the form, I mark you absent. We talked about warm-ups and closers, right? Those are 2 points each. Comprehension checks. So that's going to be in the test category, which is pretty important because it's a great way to pull up these difficult unit exam scores. So every Friday, you're going to take a 10-point assessment that is going to be a multi-step free response problem, probably 3 to 4 prompts on the same topic, or it might be like 2 prompts on 2 little slightly different topics. To review understanding that you need from the week or from maybe the last exam that people struggled with. You will be permitted to collaborate. In fact, I'll break you out into breakout rooms if you want, and you can work together. But by 3 p.m., which is the end of the full school day, despite the fact that your synchronous learning time on Fridays ends around noon, by 3 p.m., you have to submit the work on Google Classroom by yourself, like your own work. So it can't be one person's work that was photographed and used by 4 people. It has to be your own work. And I don't even know why you would manage to do that because you'd have to send the photo to a bunch of people. It'd be silly. Okay, so unit progress checks, and this is different from previous years, and it's pretty important. So we're going to be doing the college. We've changed our curriculum, as you'll notice when we get to the schedule, that we've changed our curriculum this year to match the College Board's units, which means we can use the unit progress checks that they have. So you're going to be assigned a unit progress check, which is mostly multiple choice and some free response. And it is due the day after you take the exam at 11:59 p.m. However, you're not going to have a physical review for your exams the way that you have previously in my class, because the exams are also going to be administered through AP Classroom, meaning that these progress checks are the best possible way to review for the exam. You want to make sure you know how to do all of these problems before you take the test. So while I am giving you the time to clean up your work or whatever you need, or you don't even have to clean anything up really. I mean, you're just submitting it on AP Classroom. You have the extra time because I don't want you to burn out before the exam, but realistically, you want to have this homework done before the exam. This is the review and the homework combined. So then we're going to take a unit exam, which will be administered in some way through the College Board AP Classroom. I haven't decided yet. It's likely going to be in the range of 30 to 50 points, depending on what we're administering. Category breakdown is pretty standard. We've done this before. The College Board recommends that you do an 80-20 split on assessments and homework. In order to achieve that using the school district categories, I use tests and homework only. Late and makeup assignments and exams. So in general, late assignments will not be accepted. However, extenuating circumstances will be considered on a case-by-case basis. If you realize you're not going to be able to complete something on time, please email me in advance. Like as soon as you realize, oh, hey, this came up and my mom's really sick and I can't do such and such because I'm watching my brother and sister or whatever, please be proactive. It shouldn't happen on every assignment, but I know sometimes it does. Now for assessments, you really need to try and take them on time, right? As we've seen with, even in a pandemic, the College Board makes you take the AP at a certain time, and that's the time you take the AP, right? So we need to try and find a way to rise above and take things. In the event that you can't, because an emergency or an illness arises and something has happened and you cannot take a test, please reach out to me in advance, right? Don't reach out to me 2 hours after the test is done. Don't reach out to me in the middle of the test and say, whatever. Try to be proactive and reach out to me in advance, and I will try to make an arrangement to help you. So Zoom and Meet expectations. So you're expected to be logged into the Zoom/Meet. Again, we're starting with Meet, might change to Zoom for class during the synchronous times that we discussed above. Please aim to be on time to the synchronous parts of class. That said, I'm mindful that it's easy to be a minute or two late when you're trying to log in and you're running around your house trying to get everything done and you tripped over the dog and now your brothers took your headphones or whatever. I get it. Try to be on time. It's not going to be an issue unless it becomes a repeated issue for you personally. You're not required to turn your camera on. I get it. But if you're up for it, it's always really nice to actually see people, and I miss you. So it would be nice to see you. But if you don't want to, you're not required to, certainly. When you're not asking a question or answering a question or working in a small group in a breakout room, please make sure you're muted, because it's very difficult, as you've probably noticed on some of these, if people aren't muted. You're also expected to be in to wear school-appropriate clothing, which we'll talk about in a sec. Sorry, I read those backwards. And use school-appropriate language both verbally and in the chat. One thing to be mindful about wearing school-appropriate clothing is it's not about being in uniform, right? But you shouldn't be wearing a shirt that has a giant curse word on it. You shouldn't be, you shouldn't have a poster behind you that's hate speech, right? Please don't have hate speech posters anyway, if you can avoid it, because why would you? But please make sure that your workspace is appropriate. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be, you hung a sheet over something so that people weren't looking at your wall. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be the cleanest space in the world. Believe me, I get it. We have a toddler. But just try to make sure that you are not displaying anything inappropriate, either verbally or wearing anything inappropriate. All right. Oh, if you're not sure, you can totally just ask me, right? That's cool. So communications expectations. We're all exhausted. I get it. We're over screens and Zooms and Google Meets, and boy, am I tired of recording videos. Trust that we all feel this way. That said, I need you to try and communicate and stay in the loop. You don't have to be super duper into it. I get it. But please check your school district email daily, log into your Google Classrooms daily, email or message me if you need something. Now, in terms of human expectations, so you're not at your best. I'm not either. That's okay. Even if you are the most massive introvert on the planet and you've been waiting your whole life to be able to just stay home and play video games or whatever, you're still probably a little bit over this pandemic thing. We've all had a hard time with this. So here's what I expect from you as a human. Try. Even when it's difficult, even when you're tired, even when you just don't care. Also be honest, right? Don't cheat on homework and assessments. That's totally a given. But also be honest with yourself about needing help or human interaction or stupid jokes, right? Pretending that everything is fine and normal when it is clearly not fine and normal is just weird, and it's not helping any of us. Okay, and then lastly, be kind. to yourself, to your peers, to your family, to me. Trust, as a person who comes off naturally snarky all the time in every email and probably even in this video, I know that it's easy to have a bad day, and sometimes you just can't seem to be kind. And when you do that, do everyone a solid and own it. It's okay to admit, I was a jerk yesterday, I'm sorry. Because sometimes I'm a jerk and I'm sorry. And other people are too, and that's okay. We all have bad days, but you gotta own it. All right, so moving on. So I made a very extensive tentative virtual schedule of topics for the year with 3 caveats. So number 1, although the school district is only virtual until the end of Q1, which is 11/17, it seems prudent to have a full year plan in place. I am hoping for the best. I miss you all, and I'm hoping to be back in school. But I'm going to plan for the worst of what would happen if we weren't. So this is my plan, and it would adjust accordingly. So if or when we return to school in person, an updated syllabus and instructional schedule will be provided. This is just my what-if draft. Second thing, DOI stands for Days of Instruction, which is just A days for you. So Fridays, which are C days, will be used for those comprehension checks, and they won't be counted into the DOI because 25 minutes is not enough time for us to do new material. And then lastly, in the event that school is canceled on a non-Friday, the schedule would shift by 1 day accordingly. So for instance, if on an A day, aliens invaded because it's 2020, so who knows, and school was canceled, then the next day that we were in school would be an A day, even if it wasn't originally supposed to be an A day. So that would shift some things, okay? Again, alien invasion, Godzilla, I don't know, it's 2020, man, you know? Okay, so you'll see that there's a bunch of topics, right? The yellow are when we hit exams. When you hit purple stuff, the purple is BC only. So the purple is stuff that we're only doing in BC. You'll notice when we start to hit purple stuff that you start doing 1 or 2 topics a day instead of doing like 3 or 4, right? So you'll notice that early on, when we're covering the very straightforward material that you should know, we definitely do like 4 or even 5 things in a day, right? And then as the topics get more difficult, we're doing 3 topics in a day, and then sometimes we do 2 topics in a day because they're important, or there's only 6 topics in this section, and I didn't want to hit you with 2 exams in a couple days. And then when we get to the BC stuff, you'll see that frequently, like Euler's method is a BC only topic, and it gets a whole day all by itself, right? Logistic models, same thing, BC only, it gets a whole day all by itself. And you'll see that that starts to happen as we move forward, that a lot of these either get a whole day by themselves or 2 of them get a day because they have something in common. So our pacing definitely slows down significantly when we hit the BC stuff. But you'll notice all this purple at the bottom. The AB class has way less material than you do. But because the BC exam assesses both AB and BC content, we need to review all of the AB stuff as well. So the purple is the BC only stuff. Okay, so below this, you'll see all the stuff that hasn't changed from my normal course syllabus, and I'm not going to go into a ton of detail with it because you have the syllabus and you can read it, and it's not virtual specific. So basically, this is a course covering 2 semesters of college calculus. The first semester is the AB stuff. The second semester is the BC part, right? Grading procedures, because this is a college level course, in general, the grading procedures, especially on assessments, can be harsh, right? So please make sure that you're taking advantage of all of the extra help you can get, of all the easy assignments like warm-ups and daily check-ins. You're going to be fine. We'll talk about the AP curve in a sec. Academic dishonesty is a weird thing in this world of the internet right now, not because it's any different. What it means to be academically dishonest is still the same, but the logical implications of how I would be able to catch you being academically dishonest are very different, right? So let's just start about expectations for things like doing those progress check type homework things. You're fine to work together with other people on homework. It's great. I encourage it. The harder math gets, the better it is to work with others, right? But please make sure that nobody's giving you the answers, that you're not looking them up on a website. It's fine to use the internet to help you. Like, oh, I forget this formula. Let me look it up and then apply it to my problem. That's awesome. Good use of your resources. But, oh, I found this exact problem on somebody's website and they solved it. Let me copy the answer. Ooh, bad use of the resources, right? Because the simple fact is that your goal here in this class is to get college credit for everyone's least favorite college math class, which is College Calc 2. You want to pass the BC exam and get out of that test. Just trust me. You want to get to multivariate, which is the next one. Nobody wants Calc 2. You're given Calc 2 in most of your majors to weed you out of them because it's a difficult and abstract course. So you want to get the college credit and be like, yo, thanks, I'm going to move on to Calc 3. So if you're doing things that are academically dishonest on homework, you're hurting your chances of doing that. In terms of tests, it's hard to know exactly what our tests are going to look like, but on tests, you can't collaborate with other people. You can't text a friend and say, oh, what did you get on this, right? I'm fine with you collaborating on homework and saying, hey, did you get A? How'd you get A? That's fine, but not on a test, right? Please don't copy other people's work and represent it as your own. Please don't find stuff on the internet and represent it as your own. On tests, please don't communicate with other people or get other people to help you. I can tell when people cheat because they get a lot of 3s, 4s, and 5s on things and then suddenly get AP 1s in May. Now, does that mean I caught you? No, but does it mean that you kind of punked yourself? Yes, because you had a chance to get college credit worth thousands of dollars and to test out of a course that literally breaks some people, like just broken people in Calc 2 in college, and you could test out of it, but if you didn't do the work, you played yourself, and now here you are in that sad course crying with everyone else. So anyway, don't cheat. You can read the whole detailed policy if you want. Oh, if you cheat on something and I catch you, I give you a 0, but this is not a year where it's very easy to catch you, so we'll see what that looks like. Okay, academic and behavior grades on report cards. In terms of negative report card comments, there's really only 3 ways to get one from me. 7 or more lates, which is not likely to be an issue, hopefully, with the meets and the Zooms. Cutting my class, which I'm hoping, I don't even know how that would work right now, honestly, so let's assume that's probably not a thing. Or academic dishonesty on an assessment. Please don't be academically dishonest on an assessment. In general, cell phone policy is not relevant, and I've never really had a problem with anybody having excessive behavioral issues in my class, and I'm guessing it's even less likely right now. Cool. So let's talk about the AP curve. So I give you a curve if you do everything I assign. If you do every single assignment I assign, down to the last point you try everything, even if you're terrible at math, I will curve you up to a 65. That is my promise to you. But if you miss a single assignment, that guarantee is gone and you get your actual grade. Now, a 65 doesn't sound awesome, but with the AP curve, that AP multiplier gives you a 78 on your GPA, which again, still is not anybody's goal. I totally get it, but it's worth noting that I've had students that were really struggling in my class but worked their tails off, and they still got that 78 on their GPA instead of getting what probably would have been like a 45. So, good to know. At the bottom, you'll see a personal note from me. It, quotes my favorite fictional teacher, Albus Dumbledore. I mean, he was really not a good leader. He just sent those kids to the slaughter, whatevs. Kidding. Sorry if that's a spoiler for anybody. Point being, he's a funny guy. He's smart. So this is not an easy course. You've been in courses with me, most of you, before. My goal is to get you that college credit and get you out of something that I think is much harder in college than it is in my course. I know this is a rough year for everybody. If you're sitting in this class, you're probably a senior, and this is not the way anybody wanted to start senior year. And I am sad for you, and I miss you, and this is a bummer, but we're going to get through this. And yeah, so it is what it is, but that is your BC Calc syllabus.